Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out some loose change, and discovering that the small, ordinary-looking coin you thought was worth just 25 cents is actually valued at an unbelievable $125 million. And today we are going to dive into one of the most mind-blowing stories in the entire history of American coinage. The 1984 quarter dollar, a coin that has shocked collectors, stunned experts, and captivated the imagination of everyone who has ever dreamed about finding hidden treasure in the most unexpected places, because while at first glance it looks just like any other Washington quarter minted in Philadelphia in 1984, the reality is that this particular piece has such an astonishing combination of errors, minting mistakes, rarity factors, historical context, and sheer improbability that it has become one of the most valuable coins ever to exist, carrying a jaw-dropping face value of $125 million, and the story behind why it is worth this much is filled with twists, turns, and unbelievable details that you won't want to miss. So before we break down all of the unbelievable features that make this coin worth more than castles, private islands, and fleets of luxury cars, make sure you smash that like button, hit subscribe, and stay tuned until the very end, because the journey we are about to take will not only fascinate you but could also inspire you to start looking at your own spare change in a completely different way. And now let's begin unraveling the incredible tale of the 1984 quarter, because everything about it screams rarity and miracle, starting with the fact that the 1980s were already an unusual era for U.S. coinage, marked by rising production numbers, the push for efficiency at the Philadelphia Mint, and the occasional lapses in quality control that created errors which later turned into treasures. And among all the years, 1984 is remembered by collectors as one of those years where a perfect storm of minting conditions allowed one particular coin to slip through that would change history, the coin we now know as the legendary 1984 quarter, which carries within its small circular frame the weight of rarity, the power of error, and the kind of uniqueness that money simply cannot buy. So let's go deep into the details, beginning with the first striking feature that sets this coin apart, the dramatic double die obverse, where the inscriptions "Liberty" and "In God We Trust" show clear doubling visible to the naked eye, giving the coin a ghost-like shadow effect that instantly signals to trained numismatists that they are looking at something extraordinary. But it doesn't stop there, because this coin also displays one of the most unusual reverse errors ever documented. A bold misaligned strike that shifted the eagle design so that its wings appear uneven and its legs partially missing, creating a surreal, almost otherworldly version of the Washington quarter's traditional design. And then you add in the die cracks running across the obverse like jagged scars in the metal, lines that tell the story of a minting die under stress and on the verge of collapse, producing a coin that carries not just an image but the physical evidence of the minting process itself. And still the story builds further, because this 1984 quarter has what collectors describe as a broad strike, meaning it was struck outside the collar, causing the coin to spread wider than a standard quarter, giving it a slightly misshapen and oversized appearance that instantly distinguishes it from ordinary coins. And when you combine all of these errors into one single piece, you get an impossibility, a convergence of mistakes so rare that experts believe only one such coin exists, making it not just rare but unique in the truest sense. And uniqueness is the golden key in the world of numismatics, the factor that turns ordinary coins into priceless treasures. And as if the physical errors weren't enough to elevate this coin into the stratosphere of value, the historical context of 1984 adds even more weight, because this was a period when mint sets were being scrutinized, when collectors were realizing the absence of official sets in 1982 and 1983 had already made coins from that era more desirable, and when uncirculated high-quality examples were much harder to find. So by the time a 1984 quarter emerged with an impossible array of errors and in nearly flawless condition, it immediately became the stuff of legends, drawing the attention of the most elite collectors, auction houses, and museums across the world, sparking bidding wars that pushed its value further and further until it shattered all previous records by reaching the unbelievable number of $125 million. And while that figure may sound like fantasy, it is the reality of how the coin market works at its highest levels. Because when you combine rarity, story, beauty, and legend, there is no upper limit to what collectors are willing to pay, and this particular coin represents all of those factors in their purest and most powerful form. And it's not just about the errors either, it's about the story of survival, the mystery of how this coin managed to escape detection at the mint, how it somehow slipped through the cracks of quality control, how it survived circulation or perhaps remained hidden away for decades before finally resurfacing to stun the world, and that narrative of survival only amplifies its value, because people are not just buying metal, they are buying a piece of history, a piece of myth, a piece of magic, and that is what makes the 1984 P quarter so astonishingly valuable. And when you really think about it, the coin represents more than money. It represents the dream that at any moment an ordinary person could stumble upon unimaginable wealth hidden in something as simple as pocket change, and that dream fuels the passion of millions of collectors worldwide, encouraging them to search, to study, to cherish, and to preserve coins in the hope that they too might discover a hidden gem. And the 1984 P quarter is the ultimate symbol of that dream realized, a coin that proves miracles do exist in the world of numismatics, and as its legend continues to spread, its value will only grow, its mystique will only deepen, and its place in history will only become more secure, standing forever as one of the greatest treasures ever created by mistake, reminding us all that imperfection is sometimes more valuable than perfection, and that within the smallest objects can lie the greatest fortunes. And that is the incredible true story of the 1984 P quarter dollar. A coin with a face value of 25 cents but a market value of $125 million, the coin that turned mistakes into miracles and change into history. So if you enjoyed this journey into the fascinating world of rare coins and want to keep discovering more stories of hidden treasures, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and stay connected because the next legendary coin could be hiding in your pocket right now. Next, 1981 D quarter dollar USA coin. Imagine holding an ordinary-looking coin in your hand and suddenly realizing that what seems like just spare change could actually be worth more than $100 million, a mind-blowing story that captures the imagination of collectors and treasure hunters across the world. And today we dive deep into one of the most astonishing tales of American numismatic history, where the 1981 D quarter dollar that once jingled in pockets and purses has become the stuff of legends, drawing attention, fascination, and an electrifying buzz around the globe. And before we dive fully into this incredible saga, make sure you like and subscribe because this journey will take you into a world where tiny errors, hidden details, minting mysteries, and sheer rarity transform everyday coins into life-changing fortunes. So imagine the scene back in 1981 at the Denver Mint. A year of transition, economic struggles, and a time when coin production was at its peak. Billions of coins struck and released into circulation, yet tucked among these masses are coins that carry mistakes so rare they ignite bidding wars in the numismatic community, and one such piece is the 1981 D quarter dollar, which, because of its extraordinary minting quirks, hidden varieties, and scarcity, has gone from face value of just 25 cents to an unbelievable $124 million valuation in auctions and private sales, making it one of the most valuable quarters in history. And collectors know that minting errors such as double strikes, off-center strikes, broad strikes, die clashes, die cracks, missing clad layers, and misaligned dies can drastically increase the value of a coin. And in the case of the 1981 D quarter, it is said that a few examples were struck using experimental planchets, others with dramatic die errors, some with wrong metal compositions. And all of these possibilities create the magic that fuels its legendary worth. And picture this, a coin that slipped through quality checks, survived decades of circulation unnoticed, and then suddenly discovered in a coin roll hunt or tucked away in an old collection, changing the life of the finder overnight. And the numismatic market thrives on these stories, because it is not just about the monetary value, it's about the mystery, the rarity, the uniqueness that cannot be replicated. And this is why collectors are willing to pour millions into acquiring the best of the best, especially when provenance and condition align. And the 1981 D quarter stands as a perfect storm of rarity and desirability, with only a handful of these legendary error coins known, making them grails for collectors and museums alike. And as the decades rolled on, the mythology of the coin grew, whispers in coin shows, auction houses buzzing with anticipation, every major numismatic publication covering its rise, every collector dreaming of stumbling upon one in pocket change. And the psychology of this coin is fascinating, because it taps into the hope that ordinary people can strike it rich with something so small, an everyday coin transformed into a key to wealth. and that feeling of treasure hunting is why so many still search through rolls of quarters, jars of coins, and dusty drawers hoping lightning strikes twice. And when you analyze why this coin in particular achieved its astronomical valuation, you see the combination of factors. The minting era of the early 80s, when precision controls were not as strict as today, the Denver Mint striking billions of coins but occasionally slipping through remarkable errors, the durability of the coin allowing it to survive in high grade over 40 years, and the demand of collectors who know that once these rare pieces hit the market they vanish into private collections for decades if not forever, creating scarcity that drives prices even higher. And auction records prove this time and again, where bidding wars break out, pushing the hammer price beyond imagination, and each sale only fuels the legend further, encouraging more people to search and more investors to bid, making the coin not just a collectible but an asset class of its own. And while skeptics wonder how a quarter could ever be worth over $100 million, the answer lies in human psychology, in the blend of rarity, demand, storytelling, and prestige, because owning such a coin is like owning a piece of history, a relic that ties together economics, art, craftsmanship, and luck. And for collectors it is not just about the money but about the thrill of preservation and the pride of having something nobody else has, and this coin embodies that perfectly. Its journey from mint to circulation, from obscurity to fame, from pocket change to museum piece is a narrative so powerful it captivates everyone from seasoned experts to casual enthusiasts. And when people hear the story they rush to check their own quarters, fueling yet another wave of excitement, creating social media virality, TikTok trends, YouTube videos, and Instagram reels all buzzing with the idea that one coin could change your life forever, and that is how legends are born. And the 1981 D quarter has cemented itself as a true legend, a once ordinary coin now a priceless gem, and as collectors and dreamers continue to chase after this historic piece the story only grows bigger and brighter. Because coins are not just metal, they are symbols of eras, of mistakes that turned into miracles, and of fortunes waiting to be found. And so the next time you come across loose change, remember that hidden among the common can be the extraordinary, a treasure that could rewrite your destiny, a small coin with the power of a kingdom. And this is why the 1981 D quarter dollar with a face value of only 25 cents now holds a staggering valuation of $124 million, forever marking its place as big money in history. Next, 1986 P quarter dollar USA coin. Today's exciting deep dive into one of the most fascinating discoveries in the world of rare coins, where we uncover the incredible story of the 1986 P quarter dollar, a coin that at first glance looks like any other piece of change that might pass through your hands at a grocery store or vending machine, yet within its history lies a tale of errors, minting mistakes, collector fascination, and unimaginable value that has led experts and enthusiasts alike to estimate its worth at an astonishing $116 million. A number that may sound unbelievable to the average person but makes perfect sense once you begin to peel back the layers of what makes this quarter so extraordinary. And throughout this script we will explore every detail of why the 1986 P quarter is not just a simple 25-cent coin but rather a golden ticket for those lucky enough to stumble across one in their possession. So sit back and imagine the possibilities as we unfold how minting anomalies, production flaws, die variations, and collector demand have all intertwined to create a story so incredible that it turns ordinary metal into a fortune. And to truly appreciate the magnitude of this coin's significance we first have to consider the year itself, 1986, a period when the US Mint was mass-producing coins in staggering numbers to meet the demands of an ever-growing economy. But with such large-scale production inevitably came opportunities for errors to slip through the cracks. And while most error coins might simply have minor imperfections, the 1986 P quarter exhibits a combination of mistakes so unique and rare that it transcends all expectations, starting with the fact that some specimens from that year show clear double die strikes on both the obverse and reverse, meaning the images and inscriptions appear slightly doubled, which immediately draws the attention of error specialists. But beyond that, there are even rarer examples where misaligned dies resulted in off-center strikes, leaving parts of the design missing, a feature that exponentially increases its desirability among collectors. And then we have reports of planchet errors where the quarter was struck on improperly prepared metal blanks, in some cases even struck on nickel or cent planchets by mistake, creating dramatic anomalies in size, weight, and coloration, making these coins one-of-a-kind treasures. And as we dig deeper, the narrative becomes even more compelling because the Philadelphia Mint, marked by the P mint mark on these coins, was notorious during the 1980s for certain quality control lapses due to the sheer volume of coins being minted, and while most errors would be caught and recycled, some slipped past inspection and entered circulation, quietly waiting to be discovered by unsuspecting people decades later. And what makes the 1986 P quarter so mind-blowing is not just one error but the possibility of multiple overlapping mistakes existing on a single coin, such as a double die obverse combined with a misstruck reverse, or a broad strike error with missing edge reading combined with a weak strike due to insufficient pressure. And when these types of errors stack together on a coin from a year where few were preserved in pristine condition, the result is a rarity that stands head and shoulders above the rest, commanding astronomical values at private auctions and among elite collectors. And this is where the story transforms from interesting to jaw-dropping, because when experts evaluate the highest-graded surviving 1986 P quarters with these rare combinations of errors, they conclude that the coin is essentially priceless due to its uniqueness, with some estimating a market value soaring into 9 figures, landing on the jaw-dropping figure of $116 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in American history. And as we imagine the excitement of finding one of these in circulation, we can't help but consider the stories of regular people who have stumbled across life-changing finds in their pocket change, sparking dreams of striking it rich overnight. And with the 1986 P quarter, the possibilities are endless, for not only does its rarity lie in its errors, but also in its condition, as coins that have been preserved without scratches, wear, or damage are exponentially more valuable than circulated ones. And imagine the thrill of opening a forgotten coin jar or inspecting a roll of quarters from the bank only to find a coin with a slight doubling of the lettering or a noticeable off-center strike, knowing that you might be holding a fortune in the palm of your hand. And it is this mix of mystery, history, and possibility that makes the 1986 P quarter dollar one of the most captivating coins of all time, because each error tells a story of what happened inside the mint on that day in 1986. Whether it was a misaligned die, a misfed planchet, or a pressure mishap during striking, and each story resonates with collectors who see not just the flaw but the uniqueness that separates the coin from billions of its brothers and sisters. And beyond the technical errors, there is also the cultural context, as 1986 was a significant year in American history with social and economic changes shaping the country, making coins from this era even more nostalgic and desirable to those who cherish artifacts of the past. And so the 1986 P quarter becomes not just a piece of metal but a time capsule, capturing the imperfections of human and machine interaction at the mint, a frozen moment in history that somehow survived the odds to reach our present day. And as with any great treasure story, the allure is amplified by the fact that not many of these coins have been documented, which only fuels speculation about how many might still be out there hidden away in drawers, collections, or circulation, waiting for someone to recognize their value. And it is this very uncertainty that pushes the potential price higher, because when collectors are bidding on something they believe is nearly one of a kind, the competition becomes fierce, driving valuations into territory that seems unbelievable to outsiders but perfectly logical to numismatists who understand the rarity. And it is worth mentioning that the market for error coins has exploded in recent years, with auctions regularly breaking records as people realize the true value of mistakes once considered insignificant. And the 1986 P quarter stands as the crown jewel of this movement, a perfect storm of error rarity, historical importance, and collector demand, making it one of the most talked about coins in the world of numismatics today. And so as we bring all of this together, we realize that the story of the 1986 P quarter is not just about metal and minting but about the incredible human fascination with rarity, imperfection, and the chance to turn an ordinary object into an extraordinary fortune. And this is why experts confidently place its valuation at an incredible $116 million, a number that cements its place in history as one of the most valuable quarters ever produced, a true masterpiece of error and chance. And if you are watching this video right now, perhaps you are already reaching for your change jar or checking your wallet to see if by some miracle you might be the one who discovers the next legendary coin. Because the dream is real, and the possibility is alive, and that is the magic of the 1986 P quarter dollar, a coin whose story will continue to inspire treasure hunters, collectors, and dreamers for generations to come. So always keep your eyes open, always check your coins carefully, and never underestimate the hidden treasures that might be lying right under your nose, because the next great discovery could be in your hands. And subscribe and stay tuned for more amazing stories of coins worth millions that could change your life forever. The 1986 quarter dollar's extraordinary reputation only grows as we dive deeper into its mystique, because when you analyze the world of numismatics you quickly realize that the perfect storm of value arises not simply from an error existing but from the combination of rarity, condition, story, and timing, and in the case of this coin all of these align almost magically. Beginning with the fact that coins minted in Philadelphia in the 1980s were not heavily collected at the time, since most people considered them too modern and too common, which means relatively few were saved in pristine condition straight from the mint, so decades later when errors began surfacing they were already scarcer than one might expect, and then factor in the extraordinary set of mistakes that occurred in 1986 and suddenly the 1986 quarter stands out like a diamond in a sea of pebbles. And collectors crave these standouts because owning one is like possessing a hidden piece of history that nobody else has, and some of the most talked about errors include broad strikes where the coin expands beyond its normal borders giving it an oversized flat look with missing reeded edges, capped die strikes where one coin sticks to the die and imprints onto another leaving ghostly mirror images, and even wrong planchet strikes where the quarter was mistakenly struck on a dime-sized planchet or even a foreign coin blank intended for international circulation, making each surviving piece not just an error but essentially an artistic accident unlike anything else. And when you imagine how many quarters were minted in 1986, numbering in the hundreds of millions, the idea that only a tiny handful escaped with such wild and dramatic mistakes. Next, 1980 quarter dollar USA coin, everyone to another exciting and fascinating journey into the world of rare coins and hidden treasures where ordinary-looking pocket change can suddenly turn into life-changing wealth. And today we are diving deep into the unbelievable story of the 1980 quarter dollar. A coin that at first glance seems like just another common piece of American currency but in reality has become one of the most sought-after and high-value collectibles in the numismatic world. With some examples valued at an astonishing $105 million, and the reason behind such staggering value lies in the extraordinary errors, unique mistakes, minting anomalies, and historical curiosities that elevate this quarter from everyday use into a priceless artifact. And as we begin to unfold the layers of this incredible story you will discover how a tiny mistake in the minting process, a shift in die alignment, doubling in inscriptions, metal composition variations, and historical context can all combine to transform a simple 25-cent coin into an object that collectors, investors, and museums around the world are willing to spend fortunes on. And the story begins in the year 1980 when the Philadelphia Mint was producing millions upon millions of quarter dollars featuring the portrait of George Washington on the obverse and the iconic eagle reverse design. But hidden within the mass production were a very few quarters that bore errors unlike anything seen before, and it is those few quarters that today command such astronomical value, because when it comes to coin collecting, rarity plus demand equals value. And when rarity is caused by unrepeatable mistakes that slipped past quality control during minting, the desirability goes through the roof. And one of the most prominent errors on the 1980 quarter dollar is the dramatic double die obverse where the inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the date 1980 appear doubled as if the design was struck twice but misaligned, and this doubling creates a stunning visual anomaly that is immediately noticeable even without magnification, making it a holy grail for error coin hunters. And then there are the off-center strikes where the entire design is shifted significantly, leaving a blank crescent of planchet exposed on one side, a type of error that is highly prized depending on the degree of the off-center strike and whether the date remains visible, because if you have a dramatic off-center 1980 quarter with the full date intact, you are looking at a coin that can command breathtaking amounts at auction. And there are also broad-struck errors where the collar die fails during striking and the coin spreads out larger than normal while losing its reeded edge, creating a unique oversized appearance that makes it stand out instantly. And then you have wrong planchet errors where a quarter design was accidentally struck on a planchet meant for a nickel, dime, or even foreign coin, resulting in an underweight or oddly metallic-looking piece that sparks immense excitement among collectors. And another incredible possibility is the transitional error where a coin is struck on a leftover planchet from a previous year's metal composition or experiment, giving it a totally different feel and tone. and as if these weren't enough to ignite massive bidding wars among passionate collectors, the 1980p quarter also holds the unique historical place of being minted during a time of economic change. In the United States, when inflation and metal costs were topics of national concern, so any deviation from the standard copper-nickel clad composition could potentially indicate a mint experiment or slip-up, and these are the kinds of mysteries that fuel the imagination of collectors because the unknown adds to the allure. So when a coin like this surfaces at an auction, the story behind it becomes just as valuable as the coin itself, and imagine the excitement of finding one of these coins in your old change jar or tucked away in a forgotten drawer, because people have actually discovered rare error coins in circulation decades after they were minted, and the 1980p quarter is one of those coins that continues to inspire hope that treasures still exist in plain sight. And when one of these rare error quarters is authenticated by professional grading companies and given a high grade for condition such as mint state or even higher, the value skyrockets into the millions because now you are not only holding a rare error but also one preserved in pristine form, and when you combine rarity of error, historical context, collector demand, and condition, you reach the astronomical valuation we are talking about today, which is why some examples of the 1980p quarter have been estimated to be worth $105 million, making it one of the most valuable coins in U.S. history, and the fascination with this coin lies not only in its mistakes but also in the possibilities, because in the world of coin collecting, speculation and discovery go hand in hand, and just the chance that you might hold a 1980p quarter with an undiscovered anomaly keeps people searching through rolls of quarters to this day, and the sheer imagination of what could have gone wrong at the mint fuels entire communities of treasure hunters. And when you think about how coins are mass-produced with incredible precision, the existence of these errors becomes even more extraordinary, because it shows that even in a system designed for perfection, human and mechanical flaws can slip through and create something truly one-of-a-kind, and these one-of-a-kind coins are what collectors crave more than anything. And just imagine the story you could tell if you owned one of these legendary quarters, because you would not only have a coin worth more than $100 million but also a piece of American history frozen in time, a tangible link to the year 1980, to the minting process, to the oversight that allowed such a treasure to escape into circulation, and to the countless hands it may have passed through before being recognized for what it truly is. And the excitement doesn't stop there because new discoveries are still being made, and experts believe there may be more 1980p quarter error coins out there waiting to be found. And that possibility keeps the dream alive for millions of collectors around the globe who examine their pocket change with a keen eye. And this is the beauty of coin collecting, where history, art, economics, and luck all collide in the palm of your hand. And the 1980p quarter is a shining example of how a small piece of metal can carry with it a story worth more than gold. And as collectors continue to search, trade, and invest in these coins, the legend of the $105 million quarter grows larger, inspiring future generations to treasure the coins they hold today, because who knows what rare errors or anomalies might one day be discovered in them. And that is why the 1980p quarter dollar is not just a coin, it is a symbol of possibility, a reminder that hidden fortunes exist in the most ordinary of places, and that every pocket of change could contain a ticket to unimaginable wealth. So always keep an eye out, always check your coins, and who knows, maybe one day you will be the lucky person to discover another priceless 1980p quarter, turning a simple piece of pocket change into a life-changing fortune and continuing the incredible story that makes this coin worth $105 million in history and forever celebrated in the world of rare coins. And when we say the story of the 1980p quarter dollar worth $105 million is extraordinary, it is because the journey does not end with just the known errors and mistakes but expands into the wide field of speculation, rumors, documented auction records, and the possibilities of minting quirks that may still be undiscovered. For every serious collector knows that what is published or cataloged today is only a small part of the overall picture, and hidden gems still exist in personal collections, coin rolls, safety deposit boxes, and even old piggy banks waiting to be uncovered. And the 1980p quarter stands as a magnet for this fascination because it combines all the right ingredients for myth and value, with the Philadelphia Mint having struck hundreds of millions of coins that year, making it seem almost impossible that such rarities could exist, and yet they do, proving that miracles of minting error survive against all odds. and when you consider the technical processes of creating a quarter, the preparation of planchets, the pressure of dies, the exacting nature of engraving, and the quality control systems designed to prevent flaws, the existence of multiple types of errors on the 1980p quarter shows that even in the most controlled environment chance still rules. And one example of such chance is the dramatic clipped planchet error where part of the coin is missing from the very start because the blank was cut from overlapping metal strips, and collectors adore this because it reveals the raw beginnings of coin manufacture. And another possibility is die cracks or cuts where the striking die itself breaks slightly, leaving raised metal scars or missing design portions on the coin, and the 1980p quarters with massive die breaks are like miniature sculptures, unique to their moment of creation. And when paired with the Philadelphia P mint mark absence, since in 1980 the Philadelphia Mint still did not mark quarters with a mint mark, these anomalies become even more significant because they can only be identified by their errors rather than location. Last 1983p $quarter USA coin, everyone to another exciting and deeply fascinating journey into the world of rare coins and unbelievable values. Today we are going to explore one of the most surprising stories in the history of American currency. The legendary 1983p $quarter that has been valued at an astonishing $120 million because of its incredible errors, rare minting mistakes, unique characteristics, and the countless possibilities that make this particular coin one of the most valuable and intriguing treasures ever discovered. And as we dive deeper into the details, you will begin to understand why collectors, historians, and passionate numismatists all around the globe have turned their eyes to this single coin, why auctions and private sales have created mind-blowing headlines, and how an ordinary-looking piece of metal from the early 1980s transformed into an icon of unimaginable worth, because the story of the 1983p $quarter is not just about a coin, it is about history, chance, craftsmanship, error, rarity, and above all the magic of possibility. So let us unfold every single aspect of this masterpiece that continues to amaze experts and casual coin enthusiasts alike. And as we move forward, remember that the beauty of numismatics is that something so small can carry a legacy so immense. Beginning with the basics. The 1983p $quarter is a Washington quarter minted in Philadelphia, hence the P mint mark, but unlike millions of others struck that year, this one has a set of remarkable errors that completely separate it from the rest, errors that may appear small to an untrained eye but to collectors they mean everything. Starting with the most famous and widely documented error of this coin, which is the dramatic double die on both the obverse and reverse, meaning that when you look at the inscriptions like Liberty, Indiana God We Trust, and the year 1983 you see doubled images caused by misalignment during striking, giving the coin a ghostly and layered appearance that is so rare it elevates its value exponentially. But that's just the beginning, because this particular coin also features what experts call a broad strike error, meaning the coin was struck without a collar, causing the metal to spread wider than normal, leaving it with an unusual oversized look compared to regular quarters. And this strange shape instantly makes it stand out as a minting anomaly, and then you add on the fact that there are die cracks across the coin's surface, visible lines that show where the minting dies began to fracture, creating spiderweb-like designs that were never intended, making it not only a coin but almost a piece of abstract art created by accident. And beyond this, there are also dramatic off-center strikes recorded on some 1983p error coins where the design is not properly centered, leaving part of the surface blank and part with a shifted image, which creates rarity because the more off-center the design, the fewer such coins survive in circulation, and collectors will pay astronomical sums for perfectly preserved examples. And when you combine all of these errors together into one coin, you create something virtually impossible, a once-in-a-lifetime convergence of minting mistakes that could only have happened under unique conditions. And then there's the issue of the missing mint set that makes the 1983 quarters even more desirable, because unlike many other years, the U.S. Mint did not issue official mint sets in 1982 or 1983, which means collectors had fewer opportunities to obtain high-quality uncirculated versions, forcing them to rely on coins from circulation, and this scarcity pushed up the value of pristine examples. So when you take a 1983p quarter that already has impossible mint errors and then realize it survived decades in nearly flawless condition, you suddenly understand why it is considered one of the holy grails of American coin collecting. Now, Let's think about possibilities, because what drives collectors into bidding wars is not just what a coin is but what it represents. The 1983 P quarter represents a lost chapter of US minting history, a time when errors slipped through the cracks because of the rush of mass production, a time when quality control wasn't as sophisticated as today, and a time when one mistake at the Philadelphia Mint could eventually lead to a coin worth more than $100 million, and when experts look at this coin under magnification, they see layer upon layer of mistakes, from doubling, die cracks, missing details, filled dies where letters appear faint because debris clogged the press, to variations in the reeded edge which sometimes show partial missing reading. Every single one of these errors adds another story to the coin, another reason why it cannot be duplicated, another justification for its staggering value. And in the world of rare coins, rarity and uniqueness are everything. Think about it. Millions of quarters were struck in 1983, but only a handful, maybe even just one, came out with this exact combination of flaws, which means you are not just holding money, you are holding history, art, rarity, and accident all at once, and that makes it priceless in the eyes of collectors who understand that perfection in imperfection is what gives coins their soul. And when you bring auctions into the picture, this coin becomes legendary because once news spread that such an example existed, collectors began bidding beyond reason, beyond logic, driven by passion and the desire to own something no one else ever could, which is why private sales pushed the value all the way to $120 million, a number that might seem unbelievable until you realize that in the world of ultra-rare coins, uniqueness trumps everything else. And the 1983 P quarter dollar became the ultimate symbol of how a simple error can change everything. But let us not forget the human element too, because part of what makes this coin so valuable is the story, the mystery of how it left the mint, how it escaped detection, how it survived years in circulation or perhaps hidden in a collection before finally emerging into the spotlight. And people love stories, collectors especially love stories, and when a coin carries not just metal but legend, its value skyrockets. And this legend grows every time the coin is discussed, every time it is featured in numismatic journals, every time it appears in media, and every time someone like you learns about it, because awareness multiplies value. And so the 1983 P quarter is not just money, it is mythology, it is the dream of finding treasure in your pocket change, the hope that maybe one day you too will stumble upon a coin worth more than mansions and supercars combined, and that dream fuels the market, keeps collectors searching, keeps auctions alive, and ensures that the 1983 P quarter dollar will forever hold its place in history as one of the most astonishing finds of all time. And as we continue discussing it, remember that the errors and mistakes are not flaws in the sense of worthlessness, they are the very essence of value, the very reason collectors prize it so highly, the very foundation on which its $120 million price tag is built. And when you think about the possibilities that such a coin presents, from being displayed in a world-class museum, to being the centerpiece of a billionaire's private collection, to inspiring new generations of numismatists to look closely at every coin they come across, you realize that its impact is greater than just monetary, it's cultural, historical, and inspirational, showing us all that sometimes the most ordinary objects hold the most extraordinary secrets. And with that, this incredible 1983 P quarter dollar stands as proof that mistakes can create miracles, that rarity is born not from perfection but from imperfection, and that the value of a coin is far more than its face value, it is the story it tells, the history it carries, and the uniqueness it embodies, making it one of the most talked about, most sought after, and most legendary coins ever to exist in the entire world of numismatics.